Pollard.
Thank you, Mr. Gapes. I want to thank the honourable member for Glasgow North West for tabling this debate and for speaking so passionately. And I stand with her and with all those people affected by ME in not allowing the voices of ME sufferers to be silenced by anyone for any reason. ME affects in Plymouth between 500 and 1,500 people. And I agree with the sentiments that have been expressed by so many people in this chamber today that it does not get the amount of attention it deserves. Many cases because of the stigma that has been attached to it for far too long. I've heard people shrug off this condition as being about being lazy or it being about something in people's heads. And attacking the stigma and those people who peddle that stigma needs to be an important part of how we build the case for proper action on ME. I put on my Facebook page a few days ago that I wanted to speak in this debate, and I asked for stories from people in Plymouth. And I've done this before in a number of different debates, and what has always struck me is the levels of honesty and directness that comes from people simply telling their story, not as a politician, but just as a person. And I want to share some of those stories today, mainly because those speeches before me have expertly and so succinctly explained the problems with the PACE trial, the problem with the conditions we have, the treatments we have currently. So I wanted to make sure that those voices were heard. And there was one word that came through a number of times in nearly all the posts on that Facebook page and on my Twitter, and that was about feeling invisible. That's those people with ME feeling that they're not believed, that their condition doesn't matter, and that nothing is being done about it. And I want to, just in a few brief moments that I have, just address what it means to be invisible and what we can do about it. Jules wrote to me saying, "Just getting up the stairs lays me out for hours. Having a shower leaves me laid out in a darkened room. I can't work anymore. Believe me, it's not for the want of trying. I can't do drama, rock choir or Zumba. In fact, just making a cup of tea leaves me exhausted as Zumba used to. I lay alone at home. I live vicariously through Facebook. I still get out when I can, but it will usually cost me days or weeks in bed if I do. I'm one of those lucky ones. I'm not totally bedbound, but I pay for this with my invisibility. I look so well, no one can see my pain. I smile and I say I'm fine, and then I go back to bed." The word invisibility is really key here. It's something that people talk about time and time again in terms of how the condition actually affects their lives, their relationships that have been spoken about by my friend from Bristol, and how it is something that often makes people doubt their validity and where they're telling the truth. A number of people told me about how having ME also affects their mental health, and that was spoken about by my colleague from Cheltenham earlier. Catherine said, "I first became ill just before my 21st birthday. I spent weeks needing to be cared for full-time by my parents, including being carried by my dad because I was unable to walk. I'm always in pain. I have difficulty doing things that most people take for granted, and I've lost so much of my long-term memory. Long-term, it affects my memory and focus, my ability to function on a daily basis. I'm constantly tired no matter how much I sleep. I have lost friends and needed to give up a career in teaching that I loved. I walk with a stick much of the time, especially in the winter, because my balance is bad and I fall easily. I suffer depression, bouts of anxiety, and problems that are very embarrassing, never knowing when the next flare might put me back where I started." And I think the story about how ME is not just one thing on its own, and mental health problems can stem from the experience of living with ME, is something that we also need to recognise in this debate as a part of adding to the condition, not just being part of the condition itself. Happy giving way.